Mabuhay! Earn Kapampangan, luwid kayo. Today's question comes from Karen of Minnesota. Karen asks, Kirby, did you know that the British once conquered the Philippines? Yeah, but not really, because they didn't really do it. But let me just tell you what happened. So between 1756 to 1763, the kingdoms, the European kingdoms, were fighting against each other for supremacy. So there's Britain, Portugal, and Prussia on one side against France, Spain, Russia, Austria, and others on the other side. It was known as the 7 Years' War, and this war spilled all over the colonies, from the Caribbean to North America, and all the way across the Pacific to the Philippines in Southeast Asia. And Manila during this period was a prosperous port city. It was made famous by its opulence and the legendary galleon trade. And the British had long wanted a piece of this wealth. And during this war, they had planned an invasion of Manila for many months. The British naval forces finally entered Manila Bay on September 23, 1762, surprising the Spaniards, who were unprepared. They were caught off guard. They had no idea that the war in Europe and the Americas was coming onto the shores of Manila Bay. The outnumbered Spanish forces sought the aid of Kapampangan warriors, thousands of Kapampangan warriors, to defend the islands from British invasion. A ferocious battle ensued and lasted until October 6, 1762. It was also recorded that the British fired upon the city of Manila over 5,000 bombs and over 20,000 cannonballs. This resulted in the unsurprising defeat of the ill-prepared Spaniards, and thus the British captured the city of Manila, then known as the greatest Spanish fortress in the Western Pacific. And this also resulted in the sacking, the looting, and the pillaging of the city of Manila, where houses, churches, and other buildings were burned, where people were either killed, tortured, or raped, and millions worth of treasures were either stolen, lost, or destroyed. And to add insult to injury, the British demanded a ransom of 4 million Mexican silver dollars to save what remains of the city and its people from being turned into ashes. The Spanish colonial forces retreated with the help of the Kapampangans. They moved the colonial capital into the province of Pampanga, into the prestigious and wealthy town of Villa de Bacolor. The Kapampangans aided the Spaniards in containing the British advancement. The combined forces of the Kapampangans, the Spaniards, and other natives, numbering around 10,000, encircled the city of Manila, surrounding it, therefore limiting the British occupation to just the city of Manila and the neighboring towns in Cavite. It is also important to note that this was not the first time that the Spaniards asked Kapampangans for help in defending the islands from foreign invaders. But more on that in a future video and a future book. The British occupation of Manila only lasted from 1762 to 1764. And during this time, the British took advantage of its proximity to trade with China. The 7 Years' War ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in February of 1763. But the British forces in Manila did not receive the order until the following year. And they only returned the city of Manila and the province of Cavite to the Spaniards in 1764. So what's the point of all of this? As mentioned earlier, the British looted and pillaged the city of Manila, almost burning it to the ground. Countless treasures and priceless cultural heritage were either stolen or lost forever. Jose Rizal himself was astonished by the amount of Philippine artifacts he found in the British Museum, a century, more than 100 years after the British occupation of Manila. And among these artifacts, these priceless cultural treasures and historical artifacts that were stolen from Manila included the Boxer Codex and Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, two of the most important primary sources in early Philippine history. But the long-lasting significance of this occupation was actually exposing the weakness of the Spaniards, exposing that Spain was no longer the most powerful empire in the world. This weakness resulted in several uprisings against Spanish rule over the Philippines, including Diego and Gabriela Silang's revolt to liberate Ilocos from the Spaniards in 1763, and later revolts in places like Pampanga and Pangasinan. And it was also during this time that the British freed Sultan Alimuddin I of Sulu from being held a prisoner by the Spaniards in the city of Manila. And as a result, the Sultanate of Sulu aligned itself with the British against the Spaniards. And the increasing pirate raids by Sulu against the Spanish colonies. And throughout this conflict, the Chinese population of Manila also sided with the British against the Spaniards. So in short, it was a terrible blow to the once mighty Spanish Empire. Now of course, this is just a quick summary of the event, so if you want to learn more, check out the links below for some insightful articles and recommended books. And that is it for me today. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, show your support and please be my patron or get a copy of my book, Takalpong Salamat. See you next time, where in Tagalog kita kits and in Kapampangan, Mikitix.